Hidden in plain sight, this building stands on the site of the old New York State Asylum, a 680,000 square foot wasteland once home for developmentally challenged people being transitioned into society. The original building was known as the New York State Asylum for Idiots, opened in 1855. Over the next 100 years or so, it went through several name changes, including the Syracuse State Institution for Feeble-Minded Children, the Syracuse State School for Mental Defectives, and finally just the Syracuse State School. They hailed themselves as the pioneer institution in the United States for the care and training of mentally deficient children. Surgery was done in the old building, and at least one child was born there. Like asylums for the mentally ill, the state-run schools for children and adults with cognitive disabilities found across the United States from the 1850s until the 1990s were usually self-contained communities as isolated from society's mainstreams as prisons are today. In the 1970s, the Syracuse State School building was torn down and replaced by a residential facility called the Syracuse Developmental Center, with a growing emphasis on community living rather than institutionalization for developmentally disabled persons. Built on the site of the former 19th century asylum, the center sits on 48 acres, halfway up a steep grassy hill. It features an impressive view of the Syracuse skyline, but hides a dark history. While accounts of the mistreatment of the disabled that once resided in the original building have proven difficult to find, one can only imagine the horrors that have taken place on this site, given how the disabled and mentally challenged were viewed and understood in the 19th and early 20th century. The cornerstone for the developmental center was laid in 1971, and construction was completed and was opened in 1973. The last of the residents of this massive building were moved June 17th of 1998 and remained partially opened until roughly 2011 before becoming a vacant playground for scrappers, vandals, and the homeless. Nearly all the floors are now covered in decaying ceiling tiles, moss, and mold. Nearly every one of its hundreds of windows that surround the center have been broken, accelerating the decay of the once impressive building. It would appear that the vast majority of the walls have all been covered with graffiti. Walls, floors, ceilings, and remaining furniture are all destroyed, telling the story of anger, misguided youth, gangs, and drug addicts that would frequent the building. The ownership of the property is extremely complicated. One of the worst tax delinquent properties in Syracuse, it was owned by a company with, of all things, alleged ties to a Kazakhstan corruption scandal. It turns out that the center was actually owned by a company that Kazakhstan officials allege to be a shell corporation formed to hide tens of millions of dollars in stolen money. Approximately $300 million in total between 1997 and 2004. Adding to the intrigue of this property were the actions of a man who submitted the winning bid for the Syracuse Center at an auction in April 2013 at the Onondaga County Courthouse. After submitting the winning bid of $2.1 million, the man ran from reporters, refusing to identify himself and even hiding his face with his iPad. After accruing nearly $700,000 in delinquent taxes, the center was seized by the city and its future remains uncertain. But judging by its condition, rehabilitation of the building would seem to be off the table in favor of demolition. It would seem the energy of the past still remains within the walls of the present. In this final portion of the video, we start to explore the basement. Upon entering, we felt the energy in the atmosphere change, making us both uneasy, something we had not felt anywhere else while exploring. Quickly, we noticed the sound of footsteps and movement coming in the direction of the pool area at the top of the stairs of the basement. Not wanting to be caught by authorities or have a run-in with anyone else, we decide to leave, quickly checking out the locker room in the hallway of the main building before leaving. Upon reviewing the video after our adventure, I noticed some voices and sounds not of our own. I won't comment on what we think the message of the voices are. We enhanced and highlighted the areas of interest and are interested in what you may think is being said. So please, at the end of this video, be sure to leave a comment as to what you think you may have heard. Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, look like van seats. These old refrigerators? No. What is this? The rest is just open. Sounded like walking. Alright, let's get out of here.